Okay.
So it's past. I think if everyone's happy, if we have any stragglers, then they can just come in and meet us afterwards. So I think there's maybe a couple of faces that I haven't seen before. I am Emma Sargent, previously Emma Robinson, based at North Walsham. I was going to say you have myself and Alex Barnes, who's your other beat manager, and we deal with all the community issues in and around North Walsham. Unfortunately, Alex has been seconded over to Cromer for the summertime, so she's not going to be with us until probably September, I would say. So you've just got me for the foreseeable, but Alex is still on her same contact details. If anyone wants to send any queries through to both of us, please do so, but it'll just be me picking things up over the summer. I'll give you a little bit of a statistical update, just so we've got them. So our last SNAP meeting, or priority setting meeting as we are now, was the 28th of January. And I looked from the period 28th till today. And in that period, we have had 1,065 crimes reported. So that will be anything from safeguarding investigations to thefts, criminal damages, anything along those lines. In the same period last year, we had 1,129. So if anything, we're down slightly, which is positive. And I also looked for calls for service. So we have two different systems. So when you call the police, that is called what is a CAD number. In the period since our last SNAP meeting, we have had over 1,000 calls into us. So not all of those generate crime numbers. Some of those crime numbers will come through to us when you report things online. But if anything, it just shows actually we have been quite busy. So not all those calls are acted on, but a lot of them are. So there will be your blue light calls and anything to diary appointments. So we've still been fairly busy. We have the same priorities currently as for those who were here last time. We had shoplifting across the entire district and speeding and vehicle antisocial behaviour across the entire district. So we've been working on both of those priorities, and I mean that is the whole of the North Norfolk district. We've had some really positive outcomes with shoplifters. We have had some plainclothes operations in some of the supermarkets and shops locally. We have also had some really good outcomes with regards to traffic offence reports being given out to speeding vehicles, and also when those speed checks have been conducted, other offences, so people who are riding with not the appropriate licences, no MOTs, mobile phones, things like that. So we've had some really good outcomes since the 28th of January. So, as you all know, we listen to you and then we feed that back to our district leaders so they can have this discussion with our district council to decide what our next priorities will be. So, should we open the floor to anyone? Bernie?
Okay, I'll take a start because we discussed it last time about Elsham Road, Skytney Road, and the impact of the unofficial diversion because of the works that are going on Yarmouth Road and Norwich Road. So it's a quick update on what's happened in those 2-3 months, and also a couple of specific questions to you at the end. So what has happened, it was already a big issue then, in January. Over the last 2 months, it's got a lot worse in terms of the volumes of traffic. That gives particular issues and problems. A lot more collisions, vehicle damage and property damage, and some, I understand, and there's 1 or 2 residents here, actual personal injuries as well.
Right, okay.
A lot of this is probably not recorded with you. I mean, my car was hit by a hit and run driver. We found him. But that's just one small part of a pattern here that is unprecedented. We've never had this sort of thing. It's always been an issue there. That's why we have the campaign for the 20 mile per hour, which you help with, the police. So that's the situation we've got now. We're trying, we've got, we have some ideas of what could be done in urgently to rectify or calm things down. And we do need to talk to a police matter, but we do need to have engagement with the councillors and the county council in particular. And that's just not been coming through.
Right.
So what, this is, Saul Penfold is our county councillor and then the MP as well. and I've been talking to Lucy about this as well. So this was 3 weeks ago, just over 3 weeks ago, I talked to Bob Wright, and he said, "Oh, that's not right." She was a pun, but he said, "Well, I'll give him a prod." Was his words. And within half an hour, he came back and said, "This is highly alarming." I know those were his words, highly alarming, and something needs to be done. Contact me, and that's what we did. So that was just over 3 weeks ago. I talked to his secretary, Westminster Clara, and we had a constructive discussion. And I said, "What does Steph want out of this?" And I explained what we wanted. We didn't want a big public meeting. We just wanted somebody to walk the streets with us and to talk to local people and hear their concerns and their experiences. By the end of that day, he'd cancelled it. We've not heard anything since. He said he was going to write. Okay. We've heard nothing. And likewise, him and Saul have been invited several times to come and talk to people down here. And we've had no substantive response on that. So that's the situation. And it's not just about local residents here. This is a whole town problem. We talk to people in the town, but also on the street who come through there. They stop, especially on Skyton New Road, where I live between the two. And they say, "How can this be going on? We're embarrassed to come down these roads. It's dangerous for us." So that's where I'm leaving that bit. The two questions are, you know about the SAM and the data and the recording. So one, have you received the data from the town council? That was several weeks, if not a month or two ago, that was taken down. You haven't, right? That's okay. Secondly, what action have you taken there and what have you found? I know your resources are stretched, but I know the first day after the meeting you went down. Has it been?
And I've been back numerous times since. Trying to find the perfect location is quite difficult. So quite often I'm on as vehicles are coming out of the town, they're down near Howlett Close, I want to say. I have found not a lot of speeding vehicles, if I'm honest, because I think the times of day, when I've done school times, expecting people to be in a rush, so much is getting snagged up down there. And then when I went there last week, Skyton New Road was shut for I think there was an issue with the pavement, so that road was closed. So you get one bus going down and it just snags everything up. So from a speeding perspective, when you're doing speed checks, you're not getting anything. I don't know what the SAM2 is going to, the data that's going to give us at the times that I'm not there, so night times later on in the evening. But I have been down there quite a few times, but it's not been super successful with regards to speeding. There have been tickets given out. And
you've actually issued fines?
I haven't issued fines. I've issued fines for other related traffic offences, so people who have been riding otherwise in accordance with their licence, who haven't been doing what I would warrant enough to give them a ticket for. I won't go into my own personal preferences as to that. But that, for me, there would have to be a certain level above the speed limit that I would then give a fixed penalty notice for. Each officer is generally different, but there have been some tickets given out down there. But on the days that I've been, there hasn't been an issue with speeding. There's been an issue with congestion.
That's right, that slows things down.
And then probably by that time, everyone's then notifying the other that I am probably there.
So then, in terms of actual damage and collisions, have you got any record? Are you aware of any incidents?
I'm aware through Facebook. I don't think a lot of those have come through us to be reported, as far as I'm aware. I would have to. There's so many different systems within the police. The road traffic collisions department, they would give me an idea, but I would have to get that from them directly. If it's gone directly to them on the website, I don't have a record of that. I have to get that information from them. So as far as I'm aware, I know there was one on Facebook today, on the wall on the junction of Skyton New Road. Aylsham Road has again been hit. But I'm not aware of people being struck I can find that out for you and let
Yeah,
you know.
that'd be helpful, yeah, to make the case.
Yeah, that's fine.
There are other residents here who might want to say something.
Can I ask a question, Bernie?
Yes.
So you gave a number of examples of damaged vehicles, damaged property and personal injury. I'm going to assume that you've heard these from the people who have had damage done to their property or themselves.
Yeah.
I think what we've learned historically is that sometimes it goes to the police, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it's just dealt with through insurance. Do you think it would be helpful if we could gather that information to help inform what we need the county council to do?
Definitely, yes.
Um,
We need the data, it's not just from the SAMs, but all this other hidden, it's underneath.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing gives you, I know there's hit by wing mirrors and cars just drive off, and that's not like reported.
It is reportable,
It is reportable,
yeah.
definitely, but often,
Clearly
people
are
haven't
not
got the
necessarily-
registration number, so,
Yeah.
that's the hidden
Yeah.
thing there.
Are you happy to coordinate that gathering of that information?
Well, if
once
people
people-
want to come to me with that information, if it gets out there, I'm very happy to. then
Do you have
pass
like a
that on.
residents like email group or WhatsApp group?
Well, it's
or
on
something
blind
like that?
copy,
Okay.
so for data protection,
Yeah.
so that's a different
Yeah.
sort of thing
Okay.
than WhatsApp,
So if you just
so that's.
get
sort of-
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is so what I'm trying to figure out is how do we coordinate it? So obviously you can do what you can do within your remit,
Mhm.
and the county council are doing what they can do on. I believe that more could possibly be done there,
Mm,
but we need to create the evidence base to force that a little bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know who would be best to hold that information, whether or not it would be best to come to you so that you
Yeah,
can.
always.
I'm just thinking.
My only
for
concern is by the
GDPR,
time this data is collated, other work's going to be completed.
But even so, we've got.
I know you're then looking for
It's the
the
longer
bigger
game.
picture
Yeah.
for
It's the
the
longer
development
It's
picture.
on that
ongoing,
side of
we'll
town.
have 4,000 people
Yeah.
living at the end of our road.
Yeah, I'm happy to pull all that together.
I know you've got so much
No, you're
to
fine.
do,
You're fine.
but is there a way that could be?
I think
made-
we're all in an email trail together anyway, so
Yeah.
if I can find out what I can find out and then I can forward it on to all of you and you can.
Yeah, I mean, if you could let me know if you hear of incidents and,
Yeah.
Stuff on Facebook. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
go
fine.
too much on Facebook, but that's the
I'm not
sort of-
going to trawl through Facebook.
But if you could ask the people who've
Oh, yeah,
raised it
sure,
with
for
you
sure.
to, and then at least we're getting one central
Yeah,
place
yeah,
where all the
yeah.
information is.
Yeah. And we did the same for Walcott when that was mentioned in the crossroads in the last meeting. We were able to feed that back to you guys, weren't we, as to how many collisions we'd had at that junction. So
Yeah, that was the Haysborough Crossroads, wasn't it?
yeah, so we
Yeah.
can definitely find out that information. It's just
There's been quite a few at the East Ruston Crossroads as
Yeah.
well recently. The next one down. I
Yeah.
don't know why.
One of them was me.
Was it?
Yeah, someone
Oh,
pulled in
bless you.
front of me.
and there we go.
It's just driver error.
Driver error.
Absolute driver error.
Because
I was
it's
gonna say,
not, there's
because-
no obstruction, is there?
No.
Yeah, I came from the dog park from that way, and I thought, you can see everything.
It's driver error mostly on those junctions.
While we're still on the subject of Aylsham Road, is there anyone else that has anything to say with regards to that?
I need to say that I was one of the people that's been clipped by the mirrors down there a couple of times.
Okay, and have you reported that?
It was
No.
in the mirror of the car. Yeah, they floored it as soon as they realised
Right,
what
okay.
they'd done.
Were you able to get any vehicle details at all? Okay. What I would say is, if that happens in the future, if you just go on to the Norfolk Constabulary website, there will be a report on RTC. The fact that you've been hit by a moving vehicle is a reportable RTC.
Right.
So, and the fact that they failed to stop or failed to exchange information with you, just if you can get any details, just go on there and just report that, and then that's the data that I can draw off to kind of feed back to the councils and the highways to say this is what's going on and give a true reflection. So, yeah, please. I know it's the kind of horse has bolted now, but
Sure.
yeah, if there's anything in the future, I don't want you to get hooked by a wind mirror, but if there is anything in the future, just let us know. Or you can, if you want to get in contact with me directly,
Yeah.
then please do, and I can always and see you and fill out one of those forms with you. All right. Yeah. Super. Anything else for Aylsham?
Yeah, I'll just pick up. Yeah, so what sort of things are we actually going to record to you or send to you? I mean, if we're talking getting hit by a car, yes.
Yeah.
Accidents, property damage, that's obviously what we're the same. There's a lot of these underlying issues where you're getting close passes. There's a lot of those cars just drive. I mean, I get it all the time.
I think I spoke to you when I was down there.
Yeah, that car you actually saw was fairly close.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair to them, I don't think you can get 2 metres distance between us anyway.
No.
But a lot of cars will just drive towards you. And really all it takes is for them to move from the phone or just be distracted.
Yeah.
And there could be some serious accidents. There's a lot of level of, because it's so tight going past, and there's not even cars, but vans and cars. Because I live there, I can quite often hear the shouting that goes on.
Yeah.
And,
I was witness to some the other day with a van getting a bit aggy behind a lorry for some reason. They wanted to.
the bin men got it this morning.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I can imagine.
Don't upset the bin men.
Yeah.
So yes, it's what sort of things do you want reported? Because there's a lot of that, and I think that's an indicator of how.
The problem with those kind of close passes is I have nowhere to record it, if that makes sense. You could call it in as a call, but to try and sift through that to glean that information from the call system would be quite difficult. Really, the only things that we can do are when people have been hit or property has been hit or there has been a collision, that would be recordable. The fact that someone has driven close, if we think it's done in a careless or antisocial way, then by all means let me know. And if it's, we can look
But
under the
I think
antisocial
that's the
powers.
point. There's a lot of that, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's a lot of careless driving.
Yeah.
Antisocial. I mean, I'm not sure.
I would say it's probably
Something is
not
careless.
down there. I don't think you've got boy racers as they would be driving up and down, trying
No, I think there's a
almost
lot.
driving towards people. But I think
No, maybe not driving towards.
I think
people,
it's
but your point where you're not picking up many people speeding, I think you're just not at the right thing because there's a lot of
Yeah.
speeding going up.
yeah.
You can hear.
The difficulty is there's only one of me, and
No, I
my
guess
colleagues have been
I
down
understand
there
that.
as well. I think, but we are, like I say, I think I've said before in the meeting that we cover not just North Walsham, but we cover from Trimmingham through to Cart Gap and all the way down. So everywhere else also expects speed checks. So Walcott, Bacton, Munsley, the other surrounding villages. We end up having to go there as
I do
well.
appreciate
So
that.
yeah, it's just difficult to try and
Probably
be
need to
in the
call
right
them.
place at the right time. Hopefully, when I get the SAM2 data, we'll be able to kind of pinpoint the real issue times.
I will chase that up now.
Yeah,
I was
okay.
going to
I think
say,
about
a
it.
lot of the time it is that I've travelled down there 'cause my daughter lives that side of North Walsham, and I do have to travel down there fairly often to see her. And unfortunately, it is very congested going down there, very congested, and quite often you have got someone up your rear end.
Yeah.
You know, they are, and they don't want to be doing 20 miles an hour. They want to be going faster.
Yeah.
But I think as well, if possible, sometimes that acceleration can sound like
It's the perception
that's
sometimes.
speeding.
Yeah.
it can sound like, because I live near a roundabout in Houghton, and as they pull away from the roundabout, you're thinking, are they speeding or are they is it just them pulling away? But sometimes they are speeding.
Yeah.
Sometimes they are speeding.
I think there's a lot of speeding that goes up and down.
Yeah, it's just
It's-
And I don't mean like 25 miles, we're going about 20 to 25. I mean like pretty fast.
yeah.
In the evenings and stuff.
Yeah,
The difficulty would be, I think I've explained this to everyone before, doing speed checks in the evening, I'm expected to put myself in front of a speeding car with just a reflective jacket, and that's not always
Not
Practical.
it's not
Yeah.
always achievable
That's not
to do
really-
that if you're not giving yourself enough time and distance to be able to get out into the road safely to bring them to a stop.
You wouldn't really want to be doing that.
No, and you have to think, by the time I think we had this conversation about in Walcott, by the time you actually ping someone, see what speed they're doing, and then think, right, okay, I need
Jump
to step
out the
out. Yeah, you need to give yourself enough time and distance to be able to stop them safely. Sometimes I think I had my colleague with me one day when, maybe not the morning I saw you, but my colleague was with me last week when I was down there. So sometimes if there's two of us, it's a bit more achievable to kind of get out. But yeah, in the dark, it's just a bit of a different entity altogether. It's
What
just
about making the things that read the
SAM2
speed
cameras.
limits, making them more interchangeable amongst areas?
So they do move them round.
They do.
But they belong to the town council, so they have the say-so on where they go.
Yeah.
At the moment, I think they've been there for the entirety of the works, I would say. I know one didn't work
Yeah,
for a little
well, I
while,
asked
but
them
I
to go
think,
up, and there's one on Skype New Road that's
Yeah.
not recording. I mean, I did talk to Tim Payne, who is the sort of coordinator of the
From
safety
Swayfield?
campaign in Swayfield,
Yeah.
this morning about his experience.
Mhm.
So he's actually offered help, Lucy. So with the getting this data out from
Yeah.
the town council, he said you'd look at to see how we get that out. He said they could help with that because they do it. He says it depends on the generation of sound, but a lot of them are just Bluetooth.
I mean,
you don't need to take
I don't
them
think
down.
there'll be
You
an
just
issue.
wave your phone at them and it comes.
Yeah.
comes
I don't think
comes
there'll be
out.
an issue getting it. I think it's just getting it down and downloaded and then back up again. I look at Lucy if she's texting.
When
I'm writing an email by
Um,
now to.
Yeah, so
Town
essentially,
Council.
James, who works on the grounds team for the town
Yeah,
council,
yeah,
he will
no.
just need to take it down, take it into the office. I think theirs is a downloadable straight into a computer, download it, and then get it straight back up
And
again.
that seems to be
Um,
the problem. It's not coming.
I think the
out
problem,
there.
yeah, it's just trying to fit it in with their schedule of works that they're doing as
No,
well.
no, it's
so.
not the problem with James. He's done all that some
Oh,
time
okay.
ago. It's actually in the office. There are technical problems with downloading it. And that's
Oh,
what I'm
okay.
saying.
Yeah,
Is that Swayfield said, Tim said, yeah, we could help with that.
yeah,
He says it's very straightforward. It's very simple, especially if it's a more modern sound.
Yeah.
You don't need to take them down. You download it from your phone with Bluetooth.
depends what generation they've got here.
So
as well.
the Sam that's there, I bought not this year, the year before, in partnership with Sol Penfold from our highways budget, but I've just bought another one this financial year with my highways budget because we've got
Mhm.
more roads than we can keep up with in terms of issues at the moment. So I'm not sure when that would arrive, but I know that the email was sent requesting for it. So I don't think it would be old enough, but I don't know the intricacies. But I've sent the
Yeah.
email so as soon as we know the information.
That's a recording sound, then, isn't it?
Yeah, they both are.
Yeah.
Both of the ones we're recording sounds.
We'll chase that up tonight and hopefully we'll have some answers for you shortly. I'm always keen to push Community Speed Watch if anyone wants to do that. And I know Richard runs a really successful speed watch in Trunch. And I have immense plans to do a meeting and it's just the time has just got away with me. But if anyone is keen to do that, we're always keen to get people to volunteer.
I think we've got half a
Set up.
dozen at the moment who are just waiting for the meeting.
Okay, so hopefully we can do that sooner rather than later. But
If I could just say with the speed watch, the constraints of doing it, the technology involved is pretty much steam driven, both the technology and the rules. And it really does need updating because the capability of authority to do this sort of thing is reduced because your capacity is gone. And it's something that I think that the Police and Crime Commissioner should look at, because if she has got road safety as a priority, then she should be looking at actually putting some funding into up-to-date speed watch capacity, encouraging communities to do it, speaking about it, or even speaking about anything from what I've seen, a bit like our MP missing in action. And it really is something that, you know, when district councils disappear, we're going to be left. I mean, you're going to have parish councils trying to go to County Hall, perhaps. And the whole thing's going to, dissipate. And it's something that I think from a strategic point of view that the Police and Crime Commissioner should be looking at this and saying, let's get, the constabulary are doing something about increasing the number of specialists, fine, but getting communities involved, because they're our streets, and the majority of people speeding are doing it inadvertently. And if they just need a reminder, they don't need a £60 fine and 3 points. They just need to go, oh, damn, and that's what Speed Watch does. When we do it, the majority of people who go by, if we catch them, a lot of people wave, and the guy you visited now goes through the village at 30 miles an hour
sometimes it just takes that.
religiously. we see him every
Takes
morning.
that reminder, doesn't it?
Yeah. But getting some support behind that
Yeah.
from authority, and also some funding.
Yeah.
Because if you're getting one parish council who's buying this, a town council's buying that, to get the whole thing coordinated centrally by is extremely difficult.
Can definitely go back to community safety and who are the
Yeah,
ones
sure.
that deal with
Yeah.
the speed watch, and just see if
It
how
will
we
make so
can-
much sense. And there's lots of willing people who want to do something. They just don't know what to do and don't have the encouragement.
Yeah, definitely.
Walcott's been trying for many, many years to get a group together, and every time we get a complaint about speeding, we give the people the opportunity to join the group. It's no takers.
When you start at 6 o'clock in the morning, it's pretty difficult. You finish at 9 o'clock at night, there's not a lot of people, that's my problem.
Of course, that's completely reasonable. But there are lots of people who that situation
I
doesn't
agree.
occur to.
My big beef in all of this is that the Walcott to Stalham is better like the Mulsanne Strait, okay? And that's not just cars, that's lorries.
And
I've been
motorbikes.
driven off the road twice in the last month by Arctic lorries.
Yep.
That's my beef. Because that's why we should have something telling them what speed they're doing. Because they come across the white line. I've actually got on my cam in the car where I've got the wheels of a truck. If that's the white line, I've got the wheels of a truck, there's a gap. That's not right.
No.
And he was, he was bawling down on me at such a speed, I had to get out of the way. I was nearly pushed off the road. Frightened my little girls to bed.
Well, you've got everything for the terminal going down.
Mm.
Anything heavy going down that road. haven't you?
It was
It
was an
an
issue.
It was an interesting thing the other day when we had the.
A week Saturday, there was a cordon up, but before highways could get out with the road closed signs, it was just after 7 o'clock, which is shift change time. I know quite a few people had to brake quite hardly to stop.
Because they put the marked vehicle on that side so
Yeah.
they could see them, didn't
Oh, that was when they were all there, yeah.
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 But
Yeah.
they're all
And the
noticed
terminal has been
speeding.
approached by
CNC.
CNC or MDP as they were at the time, not since they've changed over, but just about reminding them of being respectful when they're driving through the villages and the surrounding villages.
Can I just ask a question? How long has this meeting been going on for? Hours, months, years?
What is the priority setting
No,
meeting?
snap. How long has it been going on for?
Oh, long time.
I've raised it at every meeting I've come to, and I haven't got anywhere yet.
The problem you can't change.
You even knew what I was going to ask about before I spoke.
Yeah, you can't change drivers' attitudes.
But
I
you
can't
can put
make
something
people
up to flag
move.
it.
And we have done speed checks down that road, not far from where you live, just up the road. And I think we were seen by some of your parish councillors when we did it. Again, it's just timing. Along the national, you actually dip out into my colleague's area, so you're in Stalham territory, essentially. So I only go up to.
I just
The
think
East
we've got
Western
something
Crossroads,
telling people
so-
what speed they're doing.
So you would have to speak to
Yeah.
your parish councils. We don't provide
I
that
have spoken to
equipment.
the parish council, we haven't had anything yet.
It might be worth speaking to East Ruston as well. I'd definitely speak to my colleague in Hobbiton and Stalham and just see if he can do that. We've definitely had some complaints about where the church is, that long stretch there, because you've got the brow of that hill.
So this
And
again is
those,
where the
bits
where
of the
the-
church as well. That's a nightmare.
Well,
They're
that's-
always over the lines,
I
aren't
know.
they? Aren't they?
They are dreadful. The worst thing is, there are people who are holiday makers here who don't know what that corner's like or what that road's like.
Mhm.
And there was one there the other day, I don't know whether you've come across this yet, but he was actually was hit by a lorry, and the lorry carried on driving. The guy pulled onto the church car park,
No.
and he said, "Who do I contact? What do I do?"
Yeah.
So I gave him Murphy's details and
Right, okay.
told him to phone you guys.
But this is something the Police and Crime Commissioner could do. I'm Jared Trunch Parish Council. I don't know what's available for a sign that will actually sell the actuals. We've got a sound camera. We lost
Yeah.
one of them. But I don't know what's available. Now, for the Police and Crime Commissioner to actually circulate to all of the chairs of parish councils in Norfolk saying, this is the range of things that are available, this is what they cost. And if you want to do this, this is the way of doing it. And coordinate the thing.
Yeah.
Because if she is genuinely concerned about community safety and about
Road safety.
road safety, then that's the sort of role that she should be doing.
You wait till a family gets really badly hurt or killed, and then they'll be interested.
Well,
That's the
well,
worst
it
part.
did in Swayfield. We had that, you know, the unfortunate accident there. It's done something, but not much. And it was, if it hadn't been for Peter and also our former MP, that the bridge would still be the same as it was. Fortunately, because of Duncan and because of Peter, there's been some changes. But we don't need tragedies to actually be.
Unfortunately, but that's where it lies. I have no power to change the speed limits. It lies with your councillors, with your council
Yeah.
councillors.
No,
Yeah.
You're
But-
right near me, aren't you? And I mean,
I'm very near you.
you're very near me.
But for the constabulary to take that up with the Police and Crime Commissioner as a question of funding,
Yeah, we can definitely.
that's a strategic issue.
Yeah.
The feed up from community level going through yourselves up to
Yeah, we can
Yes.
definitely.
headquarters
Can I
and
say one thing? No, this is in support of the police. 4 years ago, there used to be a gentleman who drove around the area in a Subaru Impreza, which I could hear from the minute he left his house, all the way down the road, right the way around
Yeah.
through Islington, all the way back, and came around and around. And I said, I lodged a complaint. One of your officers went round and visited him, and the car got seized on the third visit.
absolutely.
Right, so it is possible.
Yeah, we are. We are proactive where we can be. It's just, trying to be in the right
I know.
place at the right time.
Yeah, I
and
mean, I was
use
always
the
told they
powers
do it
that-
at Fleet Martin because
that
my
we
dogs kick off every time somebody
Yeah.
comes past my front.
Yeah.
And it's the lorries as well. And they do, because the noise and the rumble that they create
You are so right.
on the front,
Mm.
my German Shepherds, they just kick off all the time. They smack against that front window as though they want to go and tear their throat out.
I say it to White calling up all the time, but bypass it. Just,
Yeah.
But this is why community action is
it's
going to be
required.
stronger, because police resources have been eviscerated.
Well,
completely-
you had two of us last
Yeah,
year. for-
I mean,
for
it's
foreseeable
ridiculous. The amount of money that's been taken out of policing.
I think the
Starmer
thing is-
can talk about creating 13,000 extra.
I
It's
think the thing is
nonsense.
that you and I sit in now, and other people, we sit and complain and lodge this, and you know and I know, and we all know that very little's going to get done about it overall.
So, in
Well-
in the defence of what the police are doing, part of it is most of it is a county council responsibility. So when we're talking about improved signage, the improvements that were made to the bridge, that was a county council function that didn't come from the police. As much as I really love the presence that we do have, we don't want you to have to do these things, because it would be better if we could just improve the roads so that people were safer on the roads. So that's the angle that we need to come from, because it shouldn't have taken a tragedy on the bridge
Absolutely.
to get the improvement. So I don't know who covers the bit. So when my division ends, I don't know. I think that could be Richard Price, the county councillor, who covers when my division
Don't
ends.
know, never seen him. Sorry.
But he doesn't cover Walcott, so he would cover the other
No,
part.
never seen him.
And so this is where we need a little bit perhaps more joined up. So, and I can reflect on that myself, as in I see my division, and that's the area that I look after, but I don't generally step over that because we respect each other's division boundaries. So with the instant where you're talking of the straight there, perhaps I just need to speak to Richard and see if he's got similar complaints, and see if we can work together to put pressure on to come up with a solution, because otherwise what happens is we come to the meetings, Emma's generally powerless to resolve these issues, and it's a county council issue again where they could do something but haven't.
But I'm disappointed in your language, because there shouldn't be boundaries. They should be interlocked. It shouldn't be boundaries. If it's boundaries, it's not being done right. Not your fault.
No.
There has to be a cut.
So what I
But
mean
there should be an interlocking.
Yeah, she's not saying that
It's-
there's not
Well,
there's not discussion between the two.
What's it going to be like when there's no district council?
But there's got to be some.
Pauline's giving me the face, which shows she's as concerned as I am about it. The further
Very
away you
concerned.
remove people from the community,
Damn
the harder
right,
it
yeah.
I mean, I leave mine at just after 5 in the morning to go to work, and like you, I mean, I've got a small van, and it clearly says that I've got dogs, and I may or may not have them in there, but they come so far up the back. If I had the dogs in there and they hit me,
I think as well that we have to address that a lot of it's about attitude. It is about the person sat in the car, and it's not. I can imagine there's not one person in here who probably has never sped in their entire life.
No, hands up, mate. Hands up.
Can I
Especially
just
at
say
home.
So I think
Not in your car.
Oh, wait till I get out of here. No.
it's about addressing
Can I just say one thing in support of you guys, all right? I know one place you've had an amazing effect on speed, and that is in Cromer. Because one of your guys stands back around the corner as they all come up the hill towards the golf club. Click, click,
Is that
click,
right? Is
I-
that
I
the
will
guy in the
inform people-
unmarked car?
No, the man stood on the end with a
Oh, so he would be a civilian. He's not a police
No,
officer.
he was a police officer.
Oh, okay. I
I've
was saying.
seen that happen, and I know 4 people that have clicked there and they said, don't be careful going up there, get above 30, get click. So that is a visible thing.
Mhm.
People remember it.
And that's why we try and be as visible as possible.
Yeah.
Like I say, it's just manpower.
There's not many
The
of
other, the
you.
other thing that I had an issue with on Sunday was I was taking my van towards Bacton, and obviously there was cars all parked down
Isn't it? Yeah.
the seafront, and you've got the right of way, and they should just pull in nicely. Sunday, you'd think, they're not rushing anywhere, most of them. But no, they haven't got a second to spare, have they, really?
No.
Life is far too short. So they are trying to ram their way through you and the parked cars.
Is there
So I take the middle of the middle of my side, because that's my side. I've got an old van. Hey, and he was I can't even say it.
No.
Gesticulating at me.
Gesticulating.
So I stopped right in the middle and blew him the biggest kiss. Oh, you went red as a beetroot.
is
My wife actually asked, because I do that to guys who annoy me.
Something in the water in Walcott, isn't there?
But then
Be
there was,
careful.
I don't know, you've probably got a boy racer that's got a very low blue car.
There's loads of
I
them.
think with a cherry bomb thing. In the middle of all that on Sunday, he shot straight down the middle. Unbelievable.
I'm still getting over.
I don't know where to
blowing kisses to people.
Is
I
there?
don't know if this is one.
That was not what I did to the Murphy's lorry that pulled out straight in front of my van, and it's a big 3.5 ton van. Literally, it was closer than that table. How I missed him, I will never know.
Again, I think we're on attitudes.
Is there a?
I didn't blow him kisses.
No, I can imagine. I can't
Is-
imagine.
I'm
Is
trying
there?
to teach all the kisses.
Oh God. We'll be on the front page of some paper somewhere. Is there a just
Or page 3.
don't be an awful person campaign for drivers? I've chosen my words very, very carefully.
Yeah.
I know, I think you're very
I
considerate.
do very, very well.
No,
Is-
there's a Fatal 4 campaign.
But is there
So-
not just be a nice human when you're driving campaign? Does that
I mean,
exist anywhere?
No.
Is there a think twice or something kind of campaign?
I think that used to be run by maybe county.
Okay.
There used to be a look
Shall I
twice for the
ask?
bikes, didn't there?
Yeah, go on, Lucy.
I'll ask about
If
being
there isn't anything, you can start it, I'm sure.
When I've got my
I think we discussed this last time. I want the hedgehogs back on the TV.
Oh,
I want the little hedgehogs you remember the? No,
I
do
don't
you
watch a
remember
lot of TV. You've got a
that?
lot
Oh, this
of
was like in the 90s,
I was
late
gonna say
80s.
squirrel,
This
but
is-
that's
and
like
it was
a
about-
crossing squirrel,
It was about
wasn't it?
crossing and being respectful, and like, they go to step out and they step back. And someone's I think they really
Why
like.
didn't it get squashed?
What the hedgehog?
It's
What the
one-
I mean, if it was that traumatic, I've clearly cut that out of my mind because I don't remember it getting
Probably
squashed.
the funding got squashed.
Okay. Dark.
I mean, the only way I can stop people getting close to the back of my van when I've got my dogs in is to put the bar in, lock the back with the bar in, so that the doors look like they're slightly open. Tell you what, they don't come anywhere near then.
I think it's just about ourselves and talking to our friends and talking to our families and reminding our young people who are statistically much more at risk of being involved in a road traffic collision
But it
or
isn't
speeding.
our
It's just about
people,
reminding
it's
them.
people going through, in fairness, all right, or visitors who are getting
it's-
involved in all this.
Yeah, it's not always. I think you'll find that a lot of people coming down Aylsham Road, other people that live in North Walsham, just the other side of North Walsham. I have stopped people in Bacton who live in Walcott, but they're speeding through Bacton. not
Can't we campaign
excessively,
the
but
government
this is what you
to do the speeding kills
Yeah.
campaign again.
Yeah.
I'll do speed in your own backyard, but I'll do it in everyone
Let's
else's.
do it
it's
through the
and we have
MP.
the same. I think we've discussed
Oh,
this
he's-
before in one of our previous
Yeah,
meetings.
I
We've got
did hear
Brickhill
about
Road,
that.
which is a cul-de-sac, a massive estate, but a cul-de-sac nonetheless. The people that speed down there are the people that live down there.
But it has taken me 4 years to get the county council to do you're speeding in your own area campaign.
Yeah.
And we're at the end now where there should be, when they're speeding in the area, letters going out to people that live in the area to
Yeah.
say stop
Is
speeding.
this because of
But that's-
budget?
I don't think it's because of budget. They were surprised that it was an idea that could come about. Originally, I'd spoken to Emma about it, and what I hoped would come from it is if Emma had done some speed checks in an area, caught some people, that between all the authorities, the police, the town council, county, everybody involved, a letter could just go through, joint sign to just say, people speeding in the area, please be more mindful. Just a really simple letter, but that's taken 4 years.
But it
And I
isn't-
think
it
it's-
is down to budget.
I don't think it's down to budget because it doesn't take
So these people on six-figure salaries,
4
that means
years.
contribution.
I think it's because
Sorry.
it's not an immediate priority.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem. We are almost there. I've been told a lot of conversation was about the pictures that needed to go on it, which was a bit daft. But that's taken almost 5 years now, I would think. No, it's definitely 4 years. But so anything we start will be slower coming forward unless we do it.
It's desperately sad what you're saying, you realise
Yeah.
that?
It's more than sad. It's really upsetting.
Yeah.
Because it's a very, very simple thing. But if I was to write the letters to people, because I know what needs to happen, it's not going to carry the same weight as if all the partners involved do that.
So what happens if all these people on six-figure salaries got together and actually wrote the same letter? Do you think that happened then?
Let's be honest though, in the village you live in, if you got a letter through the door saying please don't speed in your own village, would you put it in the recycling bin or would you take real notice of it and keep it out and put it on
My
the
daughter
fridge
would
and
put it up on the
acknowledge it
bloody
every
wall.
day that I shall not speed in my village? I think if it was that easy that we just
Yeah,
send out a
it-
letter and
The
then
thing
just
is, where I am, right on that bend, I am forced to break the law when I park because what do I do? Because they're speeding day and night, do I pull into my drive and reverse onto a main road? Or do I stop the entire road to reverse in
And she
and
can't-
have everyone going at
and
me?
last night you couldn't run after that guy who went up the road, could you? You wouldn't have got after him fast.
No, I
Just
wouldn't.
should have given a piece of paper.
And you know what I mean? And then come out forwards. So
It's ridiculous.
which way do I do it? It depends what mood I'm in actually. If I want to stop the whole coast road,
And
then
the
I do.
pieces of people.
Exactly. But I do, and then I'll stop the whole, I've got a bigger truck today, and so I stopped the whole coast road to reverse in.
Let's try and be
But
a
they
nice
weren't
and
cheerful,
private
they weren't
campaign.
happy about it.
Walcott Parish Council did some years ago when we were talking about what we could do to control the traffic. We did talk about speed bumps.
and in an
But we
ideal
got
world we would have them
shut
everywhere,
down.
wouldn't
We got shot down in flames by the local farmer.
We got shot down on New Road because I'd put I'd put an application in for that because the speed bump to be useful needs to be of a certain height, which is not very good on the fire engines because fire engines are low.
Exactly, and the Coast Guard is constantly down that road in the summer, so it was not good for
Yeah,
them
we couldn't
either.
put them up on New Road.
Can I say then, in terms of the Elsham Road situation, and years ago when we started with your predecessor,
Yeah,
Paul,
Winnie.
who helped us there with that SNAP, to get that 20 mile per hour campaign going. So we were told by the traffic engineers, and I totally get this, and I think this is one of the issues, this is an urban situation perhaps, whereas you've got a shared space with pedestrians, it's got to, you can put a sign up saying 20, but it's got to read like a road that you do 20 on. So that does require sometimes engineering solutions. Doesn't need to be speed bumps, it can be chicanes, it
Something,
can be
yeah.
reservations for pedestrians to hide. The only reason why it still kind of works there is because people haven't gated their driveways on the north
Yeah.
side of the road.
Yeah.
If they did,
People wouldn't have
it
them
would
answered.
be a big problem.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking to now, especially with the development that's going to like a new settlement at the end there between Cromer and
Yeah.
Norwich roads. And the scheme there for alleviating traffic is not sufficient. It's not going to do the job. And that's not recognised. And what's happening here now is a portent of what will happen later. So I know we have some solutions here.
Yeah.
We've got proposals, three points that we could do right away.
Yeah.
But that does need some work spare that the county council actually do.
Yeah.
I know it's a funding issue, but this now, we've got an urgent issue there now over the next 2 months of the roadworks.
Some of them are not. I know it's a funding issue, but what you're requesting there is not expensive. So you're not asking for other road
I don't
safety
think you
schemes.
could changing the road surface that like a different colour. I don't think you could get away with like a
But
gate
there
or a
are other
chicane.
visual indicators that you could put down there. There are other visual indicators.
There's three things you could be doing. One is the crossing at the
top.
The bridges.
Yeah.
That's really dangerous and very difficult for people in that whole Millfield estate to come through. That's how they walk through into town.
Yeah.
Very narrow pavements.
Yeah.
And then there's the issue of having pedestrian refuges there.
Mhm.
That then you see that in Munsley, a lot of the villages, as you come in, you have a priority system.
Yeah.
Somebody has to stop for the other coming up the way because it's narrow.
Yeah.
So that would slow traffic down, but also it would prevent more traffic coming through. That's what we've got at the moment. It's an open
Traffic
pipe
lights would be
that's being
wonderful.
filmed now,
Don't give them one.
and it's not. We need to constrain the amount of traffic coming through those areas.
I think we've had this discussion on the last meeting though, the fact that you are the only overheight road
Yeah.
that anything can go down
Yeah.
is the problem that you have there, that
Yeah.
everything will automatically funnel through there because it's all diverted off the Cromer Road down there, and likewise coming out of town as well, I suppose, because they can't get under the
Yeah,
Cromer
and
Road
that's
Bridge or the
something we're going
Norwich
to have
Road
to live
Bridge.
with for another 20 years at
Yeah.
least, because the inspector and the local plan inquiry
Yeah.
rejected the option of putting
The link road.
the link road
Yeah.
across over the railway
Yeah.
onto the B1145 to
Yeah.
Munsley.
Yeah.
Then you would have got rid of that. And it's not just about Elsham Road, it's the town centre. You know, we've got great big lorries coming through here
Yeah.
damaging the fabric of the
Yeah.
town.
It's just not a town that was meant for this
No.
level of traffic, and even all our villages really were not meant to have the
I have-
level of.
I have found
Traffic.
a much cheaper way to slow down traffic. I put my bin at the end of my.
I don't like
No, this one's easy. This is quick. You put your bin at the end of your drive and you play Mahjong on your mobile phone.
What's the measure? Oh, what you pretend you're a speed camera.
I didn't say that. I'm playing Mahjong on the end of on my on the end of
Put your
my
high
bin.
vis on. That might slow them down.
That's amazing. They slow down instantly.
Let's just get a community speed watch set up.
We've been trying
That
for
would be the
years.
best. If it works, then clearly a community
Well,
speed watch would
Lucy,
work.
while we're thinking
I'm
about
very conscious that we've
highways,
talked a lot about
Sorry,
the
can I,
important. Sorry,
can I
Greg,
just
go on.
add one final thing from
Yeah.
my point of view? I
Maybe
saw a
just
speed
nuts.
camera in Wales, and I'm going to find out what it was. It was where it actually showed your registration as you approached if you were driving too fast.
Oh, that's
Your
scary.
number has been recorded. Oh my God, can you see the people slow? Bright lights in your life. It doesn't matter whether it has or not, they thought it had.
I've not seen any like that.
That's a good one. I like that.
That's good, that is a good one.
Our bus stops are not
What you
enforceable.
say there,
So they're not enforceable.
I find particularly interesting. When we bought our Sam2 about 3 years ago, I tried to get, and they're called ANPR cameras,
Yeah.
and I was told that highways would not recognise them.
Really?
Now, I don't know if that's still true, but what actually happens is when the camera comes up, instead of showing your speed, it shows your plate.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't act, the camera that I've seen anyway, doesn't give any other message. But the assumption is the camera's recorded. Therefore, someone's got my plate number, and it does have a much, much greater effect. But if highways won't acknowledge it, you can't put it up.
Are they the same in Wales as they are in England?
No.
No, different
No, that's
rules.
what it is.
Different laws.
Because there was conversation about having an ANPR in North Walsham for information, isn't there?
Mm.
Yeah, I think that was a.
Information rather than speeding.
The
So
other,
I think that's a conversation for another time, maybe not for this meeting. So we use ANPR routinely as part of our investigative work. We do not disclose that to the public. It's not used for speeding. It just gives us vehicle information. Claire, go on.
With your SAM thing, can Station Road be put on the next? Can that be the next one? Because everything that
I can ask say Wendy
I've
would
been
have
hearing. I mean, I know in the last couple of months because of the A149, and like Bernie said, you know, at the end of the road with all what's being built, I mean, we've got tractors, we've got the shop, we've got the chippy, we've got that, we've got like two little roundabouts kind of thing, haven't we? So, and you can sit there and you can hear at night them floor it from the roundabout down. And you can also hear them when they turn around that corner at the bottom. You can hear them floor it up to the roundabout, and it's becoming more and more and more of evenings recently.
So somewhere in between the two mini roundabouts.
They stop for the roundabout.
No, but when they come off the roundabout, that's when they floor it. And because at night it depends on how busy the shop is as well. But I mean, you know.
You've got the late opening shop down that road.
Yeah,
as well,
and
so
you've got
automatically
the
go there.
bus stops. You get the binman pull on the road on the pavements. You even get people park on the pavements opposite because they want to go to the shop. It becomes a chicane. People start honking. People start losing their temper. And like the lady over there trying to get in and out of my drive can be quite entertaining. And I'm normally the one that F and blinds back, but it's getting to that point.
Is it more coming from your end to my end?
No, it's Millfield Roundabout, down to Elsham Road.
Right. Okay. So okay.
Yeah.
Just
so Wendy, the town council have the say so on where they go. So we'll feed that back to Wendy, and hopefully she can get James to move them around.
When the next turn is, it would be very interesting.
There are how can I phrase it? I don't know how to put it. There are definitely people, vulnerable people, walk into the shop in the evenings and late at night. Is the best way to phrase that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because everything is diverted through there. Not that we want it to be diverted through there, but you're the funnel for everything that wants to go out onto the Norwich Road or come off the Norwich Road, because people don't want to then sit in the lights waiting to get through town. So I think let's watch this space. I think when all
Hopefully
the
it'll
works are
go.
completed and see where we are then, I think will be interesting to see if it's as bad then, or whether it's just those people wanting to get from one side of town to the other quickly. Talking of boy races, I know obviously ASB and vehicle ASB is one of our priorities. I think our normal people that have the issues with the boy races aren't necessarily here, but I don't know.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because there aren't as many issues at the moment.
So I had a really constructive
because they're down Station
meeting
Road.
with a group of them.
They've
Well,
moved.
there's a few different groups, and I've said this before, and I had a really lovely meeting with a few of them the other night, who are quite happy to sit somewhere completely different, but would just like the opportunity to sit with their friends and look at their vehicles. And it's just about trying to find them a space. So hopefully I'm going to do a bit of digging down in the industrial estate, and they're quite happy. They're also happy to have a meeting with any of those ladies to kind of take the monster out of it, because they are genuinely, that group that sit there quite often are a really lovely group. There are other people who were driving past as I was speaking to that group who clearly
are not as lovely.
Maybe not as lovely and a bit louder.
Can I ask you a question, please, about that?
Yeah.
Do you ever check their insurance to the vehicle?
Yeah.
To make sure that modifications have been recorded?
Yeah.
I'm sure they do.
And a lot of them are such car enthusiasts that actually they are they're really hot on. That group, like I say, are a really, really lovely group, and they're, like I say, they're happy to meet those ladies. Maybe we can facilitate that and also facilitate them trying to find them a space that's not in the middle of town where they can.
They just idealise their part of Fast and Furious.
Yeah, but a lot of the ones that sit up there, they sit up for ages just having a chat. They're not the ones kind of flying around, but they get
No,
kind of
but-
labelled as the ones flying around, and they all know each other because they all go over to Mackey's and they go to Sheringham and they all bump into each other.
Yeah.
So there's lots of different groups, and you'll find that the group from here will go over to the different towns, and the different towns will come here just to kind of see who's about. And I think that's what
It's
we
the
maybe get them.
different towns at the moment. So
Yeah.
every now and again I'll see a car
Yeah.
that I don't recognise. And
Yeah.
I'll send you a
No, I
message.
work at a garage as a receptionist in Brundle on a Saturday,
Yeah.
and we've got a young apprentice lad, and he's got his little Fiesta, and
Yeah,
he
they-
just
yeah.
loves his car, and
They
when it's
spend all their
broken,
wages, don't they?
yeah, when he first passed his driving licence, just after that he crashed it, and then he had to fix it all up, and he was like, his poor car.
Yeah.
He's still got the same car, he's still fixing it up,
It's just
but you know.
But I think that's some positive news.
And the
So I'm
motor
pleased to
bikers
Yeah,
are lesser. You've had a word with some of them.
I have had a word with some of the motor.
You have
cyclists.
had a word
I
with
always
some
sit
of
and
them.
chat to them. I mean, they're fine.
They are
I
fine.
don't blow them kisses though.
But we have some who are noisier. So Emma's spoken to them, and you are the one to watch out for, Emma.
Yeah.
You are
I'm
absolutely
bad
the
cop.
one to watch. You are bad.
Do you ride a motorbike as well?
No.
But that's been really, really positive.
No, and if you have any issues in your communities, I am more than happy to act proactively. I'm not all about catching everyone out all the time. I don't think that always works. I think then people lose faith and confidence in us as a police force because they've had a speeding ticket or they've had a section 59. Sometimes, like that young person I spoke to the other week who had a motorcycle and who just got a new one and it was a bit bigger and a bit faster and clearly needed to just have a reminder about being safe, about being responsible on the road.
And they need to get used
And
to the
I
vehicle as
will
well.
proactively do that. And if people are seeing those vehicles, send me the registrations. I'll do the digging on who it is, or if you know who it is or where they live, let me know and I'll pop round there. I'd much rather people not get hurt and ride responsibly than.
I think where bikes are concerned though, if they're moving up engine size, sometimes they need a space where they can try out and learn to actually ride that cycle or that motorcycle properly at the
They've
right
got
speed.
the NDR, can't they?
No, we don't want them on the NDR, please.
Because they would go up to the car enthusiasts and such like. Why don't we invite them to put a display on at the fun day in town?
So I think the bike there's a bike enthusiast.
There's a bike
they're going to be there
Is that the
on
older?
the fun, not
No,
sorry, not the
or is that the younger one?
Fun Day, not Children's Day. I don't know if any of you are aware. There's a new local business on the industrial estate called Curbside Kitchen, and they have got a car enthusiast meeting coming up in May.
Right.
They had one last month, and again, everyone was really, really well behaved. There was lots of people in supercars like Lamborghinis and Ferraris and all sorts. So you had they drew a big crowd of people wanting to go and take pictures and look at all their vehicles. And that was really, really well behaved. And I'm just hoping, touch wood, that the next one will be exactly the same. So there is already that kind of focus. If you are on Facebook, I think if you look at Curbside and Cars, it's on there. And I did invite our boy racers to come to this meeting, but they declined. So.
Sorry, to go on the Fun Day, the Saturday before the Fun Day there was a motorbike show, and on the Sunday there was always space for the classic cars and cars to come, and there's always a
So we do also have a new Octane car, which is a souped up Hyundai that it used to be one of our undercover cars, and they wrapped it in a lime green and made it put a TV in it and stuff like that. So there is opportunity to also bring that down. That is a county resource though, so we'd have to book that quite far in advance. But there is scope if there was enough uptake from the boys themselves and girls. If they wanted to do that, we could always try and get that down and get them. And that's all about education again. And like you say, making sure you're declaring your modifications, talking about the modifications, just talking about everything.
Well, that'd be worthwhile.
And that would be the traffic officers. that would-
Yeah, at Walcott there's two different groups really. There's the older group and then there's the young group. Both are very nice. I've sat and spoken to both of them about bikes and what they've done to the vehicles and they're brilliant. You know,
And I think sometimes all it does take is just being honest with them. Like, you know, sometimes your behaviour is causing a bit of distress. Please do.
No, what I mean,
pull
they're
away
bike,
out of the
actually.
car park quietly. Please, don't reg your engines. Don't. yeah, I think it's just about
Yeah,
teaching
because they think they need to rev it to.
Yeah, they want to.
But
Sometimes
like
they
the sound
they
of
forget
it.
where they are. They like
Sometimes
they want to show off to their mates. They want to turn their music up loud. Look at what I've done, and I don't. It's not always with malice. It's not done to annoy any member of the community. I think sometimes it's just they get caught up and they don't realise the time, and it is like 11, 12 o'clock at night, and they're the speakers are up high. But actually, I don't think that's anything really, really bad. I think it's just about educating them that it does have an impact on our community sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like playing football, isn't it? You can't go out on the road like you used to years ago, you know? And it's actually finding a place to play or skate or anything else, really, isn't it? Same difference.
That would slow people
Have
down.
we got any other issues that you want me to feed back as a district?
Well, I think just on road safety, I think Cromer Road is a massive improvement since the parking restrictions have gone in, thanks to Lucy and Paul.
The cones.
Yeah.
Can you sort out the sunken bit as well?
Well, so the issue with the sunken bit is
you need to close that road.
If we close that road,
You'd cause carnage.
Then poor Bernie is going to be in a more stressful state. So Cromer Road does need to be closed to be resurfaced, but they're holding off until the bigger road work. So resolved. Well, there've been a couple of road closures that we've had to stop because it would just make things really difficult. But they're non-emergency road closures.
Yeah.
But that certainly worked really well for the traffic flow, hasn't it?
Yes.
I wondered if it was a plan in case Putin invaded with all these reroads and diversions. We came up to a road junction the other night and it went diversion in both directions. I went on one and it aimed back again. I couldn't work it out, the guy was running around trying to change them. It's really, it defies description, a lot of it.
It does occasionally, yeah. And sometimes it's not always the county council, it can be other services. So the issues at Coldshaw, for example.
Yeah.
Just over the bridge, that was network putting broadband in, I think, or fibre or something.
It's county broadband, not putting broadband in.
So it wasn't county council, it was a different utility, and that was just that caused no end of issues.
Okay, so if there are any issues moving forward, if anyone wants my details now, please stay after. If not, you can find them on the Norfolk Constabulary website. I think it's like contact your local team, and then just drop us any messages if anyone's got anything else they don't want to say. Or Claire, go on.
One more thing. Well, I look on your website, and I have done for months, and one of the things that I definitely noticed, and I think it's within North Walsham, is the statistics have definitely gone down from last year, which is pretty good. But over the last kind of 6 months, the violence and sexual assaults have gone up. And I was just wondering, is there an issue going on, or does that need to be? Because are we talking about safe space? Are we talking about domestic abuse? I mean,
I without looking at the statistics and kind of breaking it down, it would be difficult to give you a kind of.
Sometimes they're
wholesome
historical as well.
answer, yeah.
Sorry?
They might be historical ones, but it would obviously go ones
yeah,
that's been reported.
that's the other thing.
I think there is generally a bigger confidence in reporting than there used to be. I think people are more confident in saying this has happened to me and getting it recorded. Sometimes that you will find that. Sometimes you will find you will have certain couples, for instance, that will have runs of domestic incidents, and that will sometimes skew the figures. I don't think we have any issues with kind of violence, like stranger violence, I would say. I think we would always have an issue with domestic violence. As a society, again, that's all about education from a younger age, I think. But I would have to look into it and let you know if there's, I don't know which section they're in. I don't know if it's just
portion.
But is it just an assault? Is it when I look at the figures, I'd be able to know if it's like strangers, domestic, school, all those kind of things. So I wouldn't say
it just comes under as violence and sexual offences.
Yeah.
And it's
all of them, isn't it?
Yeah, it would be looped.
Everything else
altogether.
seems to be going down, but that one seems to be going up, and it's like I just wondered if.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any specific
safe space,
reason, but I don't know.
I just wanted to bring it up.
I appreciate that. It's just I'll have a look into it. Maybe on the next meeting we can kind of give you a bit of clarification as to to what's going on. I don't, as a community, I don't feel anything's drastically changed. Like I say, our figures are down. I can only think maybe it is a confidence in reporting, or it is, like you say, sometimes we'll get historical things, and if there's been like 10 other things, they'll report it as one, but it would be 10 different crimes, and that sometimes will just change the figures for
I
us.
think, like you said about domestic abuse, the whole thing around reporting domestic abuse and domestic violence has increased, in society in general.
Yeah.
I think that's.
Yeah, I think we have a confidence in people coming forward and saying, this is happening to me, I'm a victim of this.
Yeah.
So in some ways, it's a good thing.
It's sometimes it is a positive, because we do want people to report things, and we can't safeguard people if we don't know about it. So I would always encourage people to report things to us, to report anything. If we don't know about it, we can't tackle it, or we can't try and safeguard people. If we know about it, we can actively, look at it and go, wow, we've got a problem. And Laura and I spend a lot of our time, we look at every single job every day and the crimes that come in to see, right, is there a pattern forming here? Why have we got these people doing this? Or, and that's what we try and work off. We try and problem solve where we can. Sometimes that is dealing with people criminally. Sometimes that is pushing back onto other services or safeguarding. And it's just trying to work out what the best plan of action is for everything. But I always welcome everything being reported, because if I don't know about it, like I say, I can't.
You said at the beginning about safeguarding.
Mhm.
Do you have an analysis of the safeguarding?
No, not with me.
No, but do you have access to that?
How many safeguarding reports we've
The
been?
issues regarding age and location, etc.
You could probably break it down within the system to look at. Yeah. Is that something you're interested in?
Obviously.
Okay. You might have to do a freedom of information request to get that, but you probably could do that. Anything else before we?
Don't have a date for the next one.
No, so we don't have a date for the next one. Obviously Alex was meant to be here this evening, but because she's gone over to Cromer, we've kind of swapped again. I think what we'll do is, when we know, so the next district meeting where all this information is fed back up to, that is within the next couple of weeks, I want to say. So once we know when the next district meeting will be, then we'll try and get a meeting in a couple of weeks before that, so we can get the feedback in. So I would imagine it would be summertime again, in around about 3 months, but we'll put it out there and let you all know. Like I say, I'm always here if anyone needs anything, please just come to me directly.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Children's Day. And I will be at Children's Day. Everyone wants to come and say hi and sit at this car and get a sticker.
Just
we've got a meeting every day of the week.
I think Tuesday.
I know what you're doing.
Yes.